Sonic's Green Hills Adventures Season 1, Chapter 18, Government Capture. Sonic's narration.
Put him in a cell with the other government criminals.
I know what you're thinking. Who are those people that threw me in a cell with the government criminals? It seems like just this morning, everything was going to be great. If only I knew. Am I going too fast for you? Well, then let's run back to the beginning. What a beautiful morning, I said as I woke up feeling well-rested after that crazy musical showcase last night. Then I looked over to Coco and she was awake looking at me happily. Good morning, Coco. Did you sleep well last night, too? I asked Coco sweetly as I patted her head gently. Well, see you later. I got to get ready for school, I told her before putting on my shoes and grabbing my backpack and heading towards the kitchen. After breakfast, I ran to school. However, as I was running, it felt like something bad was going to happen, but I wasn't sure what. Hey, guys, I said as I was about to run over to them. However, I was caught off guard when a bunch of military vehicles showed up and a bunch of soldiers emerged from them and surrounded me. What? How did they know of Snow on Earth? How did they find me? I asked in complete horror.
That's simple, you blue freak. Someone sent a video of you being aggressive.
One of the soldiers told me harshly, so that means somehow in some way, Jade and Veronica succeeded. Please wait, this is all just a misunderstanding. They were provoking me on purpose so they could make that video that showed me in a negative light, I said, trying to reason with them. I started to panic because I wasn't sure what to do.
Sonic?
My friends said as they started to run over to me. However, the soldiers pointed their guns at my friends as a warning to stay out of this. What do you want from me? I asked nervously, not sure how this was going to go.
You're coming with us.
Another soldier said as he ordered two others to grab me from under the arms, and they started to drag me towards one of the military vehicles. My fear took over my actions as I began to sob while struggling to get free and run to my friends, but because I was sobbing so much, it kept me from being able to use my full physical strength. No, you can't do this. My parents will freak. Marina, Crystal, Jessica. No, this can't be happening. I was supposed to be happy with my family and just enjoying life like any other kid here, I said as I started to lose it. Then I was put into the vehicle and the door shut behind me and the soldiers, and there was nothing I could do to stop it.
Marina's point of view.
I couldn't believe this was actually happening as we were witnessing our friend being taken away like some monster. Yes, please don't do this. We have proof that he isn't what you think he is. I cried out to them, but they apparently didn't listen, or we were out of earshot because they already left, leaving the four of us stunned. Come on, Giz, we've got to tell Tom and Maddie about this now, I said hastily in determination as we ran off towards Maddie's house. I was a little worried about school, but that was something we would worry about when we return with Sonic.
One quick question. If we end up leaving town with Tom and Maddie to help save Sonic, what should we tell our parents on the phone?
Jessica asked nervously but seriously at the same time. Oh, it's simple. Just tell them what's actually going on, and if they have any objections, just tell them he's our friend and we are not just going to stay here while we don't know if he's going to be okay or not. I told her reassuringly as we all pulled out our funds to call our parents and let them know just in case if we had to take those measures to save him. Thankfully, our parents were cool with us and understood what we were doing. We finally made it to Tom and Maddie's house and knocked on the door hastily. Finally, Maddie answered the door with a confused look on her face.
Marina, Crystal, Joey, and Jessica, what brings you here? Shouldn't you guys be at school with Sonic?
Maddie asked us with a look of suspicion on her face. Maddie, I don't know how to tell you this, but Sonic was captured by the government. Apparently, Veronica and Jade's video got through to them. I don't know how they did it, but it was obvious when one of the soldiers mentioned the video they shot when they were bullying him the other day. I explained carefully with a very sad look on my face. And then we saw tears form in Maddie's eyes as a look of horror formed on her face with her hand over her mouth as she stumbled a little.
Tom, the government, they took Sonic.
Maddie screamed in horror. She got Tom to come to the front door as well.
Are you serious? How is that possible?
Tom asked in disbelief with the look of horror and tears in his eyes as well.
Well, remember that video of Sonic getting emotionally unstable the other day that Veronica and Jade made? Well, they somehow managed to get it through to the government. We need to go after them now.
Maddie sat hysterically as she cried into Tom's chest.
Right, we just need to call down Sitter for us and then we'll head off.
Tom said once he calmed down with a very determined.
Well, there is one problem. We don't know where they're exactly going.
Joey pointed out hesitantly, and it was obvious he didn't want to make us more panicked than we already were.
Well, obviously the closest bet is Washington, D.C.
Jessica said reassuringly, and we all nodded in agreement, so that's where we would go.
Sonic's point of view.
I was in too much of a stunned and shocked state that I didn't speak for the first few minutes after the military vehicles left the school. Now tell me where you're taking me. I asked calmly, hoping they would answer me this time.
We are taking you to gun headquarters. It has very high security.
One of the soldiers said simply. What's going to happen once we get there? I asked fearfully, but I needed to know before I lost my mind.
We're going to hand you to the people that run the place, the gun soldiers.
A female soldier replied without a hint of sympathy in her voice. This unnerved me greatly. I never felt so alone, not since my 10-year isolation. I couldn't stop myself from crying again, and no one showed any sympathy. 40 minutes after leaving the school, we arrived at an airport. That's when I knew this was really bad. We were going out of state.
Marina's point of view.
We were able to find someone to watch Ozzy while we were out of town and got into Tom's car and headed off towards the airport. Men of Sonic hadn't been captured by the government nor in danger. Now this would be exciting, I admitted sheepishly.
This is exactly why we want to solve the government problem, so we can do trips like this without Sonic needing to hide.
Joey said in agreement with a worried look on his face. Joey, it's going to be okay. We're just as worried as you are, so I can't even imagine how the Wachowskis are doing through all of this, especially Sonic. He must be scared out of his mind, I said, trying to reassure them, but I was getting more worried by the second. What were the government planning to do with him? What if we were too late? If they were planning to hurt him? Were just a few of the questions going through my mind at 1,000,000 miles per hour. But finally we arrived at the airport.
All right, let's find out when the soonest flight to Washington, D.C. is.
Tom said as we walked to the front desk.
Excuse me, we need tickets for the soonest flight to Washington, D.C.
Tom asked nicely but hastily at the same time.
I see your fatherly instincts are already kicking in, Tom.
Maddie said jokingly with an impressed tone to obviously try and lighten the mood as best as she could in this situation, and it kind of worked because I giggled a little.
Not to worry, you have plenty of time to get to the gate. It doesn't take off for another hour.
The woman at the desk said reassuringly as we bought the plane tickets.
All right, that'll give us plenty of time. So after getting through security, let's head in one of the snack bars to grab some things for the plane because it's a 5-hour, 15-minute flight.
Tom strongly suggested, and we all agreed and headed to the little snacker shop after security was taken care of. After that, we found the gate easily and sat down and waited patiently.
Hey guys, what do you think they plan to do with Sonic? I know, I hate to think about it too. However, it's been going over and over again in my mind so much that I can't keep it to myself any longer.
Jessica asked as tears fell down her face. I don't know, but I have a strong feeling it's not dissection. However, that doesn't make me feel any less nervous, I admitted fearfully.
I just hope they are not torturing him because that would be the worst. Although they already kind of are taking him away from everything he's ever known, all over again.
Joey said as we all saw him sweating nervously at the thought of it.
Let's just hope they're just keeping him prisoner. It would be the best case scenario for him, and it would also mean that we have plenty of time to rescue him.
Tom said to reassure us, and it definitely worked.
Well, I think our main goal, besides getting him home safely, is making peace between him and the government, so that this never happens again.
Crystal said very confidently.
We'll sure try. Don't get your hopes up. I don't know if I can do it now. I might have to wait until they're better, Tom.
Tom said bluntly, and we knew he was right. Finally, we were able to get on the plane, and that's when we could all finally breathe it, knowing we were at least going to get to Washington, D.C. in one piece.
Sonic's point of view.
We were now on the plane, and that is where I found out that gun headquarters was in Washington, D.C.
Now stay quiet or else you will suffer the consequences.
The leader of the soldiers ordered of me. However, this made me realize I could try to do what I did with Isagovo. I doubt it would be as successful, but it was worth a shot. Yes, sir, I said with a smirk as I saluted to him respectfully. Unfortunately, he did not look amused. So 5 hours and 15 minutes later, we landed in Washington, D.C., and honestly, on the way I fell asleep. However, it wasn't pleasant at all. It was filled with nightmares of the possibilities of what could happen to me once I was at gun headquarters. They were honestly worse than the
Come on, you, time to go.
One of the soldiers said as they yanked me out of the airplane chair and rudely guided me to the car that would take us to gun headquarters. Oh, was that really necessary? I asked, and I couldn't help myself because that was really painful, angrily.
Yes, after all you are an alien and a criminal in one package.
The leading officer said nonchalantly, then the car took us to gun headquarters. When we arrived there, well, the terrifying, what if the government took me, scenarios came floating back through my mind, and now with the knowledge that there's a possibility of at least one of those scenarios could happen, I let the tears flow down my face once again. I've never been so scared in my life. And who knows what would happen in between now and when Donut, Dad, and Pretzel Mom convince the government otherwise.
So is that him?
One of the guards at the door asked, and one holding me hostage at that moment only nodded. Then the guards let us pass. Then I saw a very familiar man glaring at me with the only kind of hatred someone with a grudge would give. Do I know you? I was sheepishly trying to remember where I saw this guy.
Of course not, but you may have known my boss, Dr. Robotnik, isn't the one you banished to wherever you banished him to. The name's Agent Stone, by the way.
Agent Stone replied. This frightened me because he was associated with that madman and with him glaring at me the way he was, and adding on to the fact that he worked here and I was going to be a prisoner or something here, did not help those matters whatsoever. It shocked me so much I started hyperventilating. No way you work here was the only way I could respond to that after calming down my breathing.
Indeed, but unfortunately for me, you won't be seeing me much as I want to make you pay for banishing Dr. Robotnik.
Agent Stone said in frustration. That relieved me that he wouldn't be able to enact his revenge on me. Then they took me into an office, most likely where the leader of this organization was.
Sir, we brought the prisoner you requested.
The leading officer announced as the chair turned around to reveal the leader of gun headquarters.
Excellent, you may leave now. I'll take it from here.
The leader said as they all left the office.
Oh, you know what? Now that I'm getting a better look at you, you look a lot like one of our other prisoners here. So tell me, what is your name?
He asked me in fascination. I was completely thrown off guard when he said there's another prisoner here a lot like me. I'm Sonic Wachowski the Hedgehog, I said defensively as a way to hide my fear.
Well, Sonic, I'm Commander Jonathan, leader of this place. I'll assign you to your cell for now, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Commander Jonah then said as he typed something into his computer.
All right, I found the perfect cell for you.
Commander Jonah then said as he motioned for the guards in the room with us to grab me and carry me to the cell. So do you think you can tell me why Commander Jonah then wants me here? I was hopefully practically begging of the guard. However, as he took me to myself, he wouldn't respond or acknowledge that I said anything at all to him.
Put him in the cell!
One of the guards said to the other. Then he threw me into a cell.
On earth? Who on earth are you?
I heard a male voice demand after I was left alone in my cell. My ears twitched towards the direction the voice came from, and it was the cell across from me on the other side of the hall. When I saw who was asking me that question, I froze in shock. It was another anthropomorphic hedgehog. He had black fur with crimson red stripes along his quills and wrists and ankles. His eyes were also crimson red, and I had a tuft of white chest fur.